We have discussed the causality. We were discussing the properties. In the property, I've explained the linearity property. Okay, and after this linearity property, wherein the input is supposed to be this. Okay, the weighted sum of the input signals. So the response to the weighted sum of the input signals is actually sum of the weighted responses. Sum of the weighted responses. Understand that? So this is what linearity is, and we took two examples. One is the amplifier, which proved to be a linear system, and we took a squaring circuit, but the squaring circuit is not what uh, linear. It's non-linear that we have seen. Fine. Now, when we discuss causality, I told you the output of the system depends only on present and future. I gave you some examples also. What is that? The mechanical systems, any mechanical or electromechanical or any system for that matter, any physical system for that matter, which is non-living, okay, can only be causal because it won't depend on the future values. Once it depends on the future values of inputs, okay, the output depends on future values of inputs, the system becomes non-causal, but practically no non-living system. So no living system can be causal. No living system can be causal. That means we human beings are, sorry, we human beings can be, right? So that means no machine can be non-causal. They can only be causal. That means all machines, okay, will depend only on the present set of inputs or on the past set of inputs. They cannot give the output depending on what the future inputs are going to be, right? So that we discuss. Now that's another thing that we need to discuss is which values of input are referred to as past and which values of input are referred to as uh, future. Okay, so let's discuss that now. Now see here, in this particular example, fine, y of n is taken, okay, and this y of n is the output of the system. Fine. If y of n is the output, it is depending on present value of inputs because this is also n and this is also n. So y of n is depending on present value of input. But what is x n minus 1? Can you tell me what is x n minus 1? X of n minus 1 is shifting x of n to the right by one position. Understand? If this is present, then we call this as past. Let me write you because there are so many people who are not good with this. Okay, so let me tell you the second problem and the second property. So that's causality. Understand? In causality, I told you output depends only on present value of inputs present values and past values of inputs. Okay, now let's take an example as we have seen. Suppose we have this example one wherein the output y of n of the system is depending on x of n and also x of n minus 1. Fine. Now understand this properly. Suppose if you have x-axis like this, fine. So whether this is n or t, whether this is n or t, if at 0 your x of n or x of t is there, then whatever comes on this side is past values of inputs, okay, and these are future values of inputs. Okay, and this is present value. So understanding this is very important. Okay, so here it is starting is here. So this is some time elapsed. So this is, we are seeing the signal at 0 seconds. If you come here, we are seeing the signal at 1 second. After, and we are seeing the signal after 2 seconds. We are seeing the signal after 3 seconds. That means after 1 second, after 2 seconds, after 3 seconds, we are saying, right? See here, if the same signal x of n, if it comes on this side, okay, if it comes on this side, suppose, let's say this is 1, okay, so this would be x of n minus 1, suppose. Understand? So that means if this is x of n, something is there. If x of n is there here, this is x of n minus 1. Understand that? Now, x of n was existing at n equal to 0. Now, x of n is now existing after 1 second here. It's existing here after 1 second. It's existing here after 2 seconds. It's existing here after 3 seconds, we say. So 0 is the present means. So it is after 1 second has been elapsed, after 2 seconds has been elapsed. Okay, so this is how we see the past and future values. So these are all past values. On this side, whatever you get, they're all past values. If they are past values, so they are future values on the other side. Okay, x of n plus 1 is future value, x of n plus 2 is future value, x of n minus 2 is past value, x of n is present value. Is that okay with you? So y of n here depends on what? All here. So this is what? Present value. And this is what? This is past value. Okay, so this is the system they have given. They have not, we have to identify the system by looking at the output of the system. Understand that? So we have to identify the system by looking at output of the system. Understand that? So that's why what we can say now, we can say that this output, okay, in example 1, since the output y of n, let's say that, since output y of n depends on what? Present value x of n and past value x of n minus 1. Okay, the system is causal. Understand that? So this is the example of a causal system, example number 1. Okay, so let's take example 2. In example 2, let's take this. So this is y of t, suppose. Okay, so we have x of t plus 1, x of t, and x of t minus 1. Fine. So you should understand this is future value. This is present value. So this is past value. Okay. So how can we make this statement here? What is this system? What is this system, causal or non-causal? You have to see the output and you have to make a statement whether the system is causal or non-causal, whose output is y of t, which looks like this. What can you say? Since the output depends on future value of inputs, future value of input, the system is, see, it's non-causal. Everybody should understand. The moment you see the output is depending on the future values, okay, so you should understand that it's a non-causal system. The output, if it depends on only past or only present or both, then it is causal, else it is non-causal. Let it depend on past and present, but along with that, it is also depending on future, right? That's why it is non-causal. Is that understood? Now, example 3. Suppose you have x of n equal to what? No, it's not x of n. What is it supposed to be? It's y of n. The output is depending on this. What value of input is this? Present. It is depending on present value only. Present value only. Therefore, the system is causal. Present value or past value or both. Understand? So you should understand it's present or past or both. Okay, for causality. So you should understand. Okay, with this, so this is about non-causal and causal systems. Fine. So this is causality, the second property. Okay, so let's see what else this has got to tell regarding it. Okay, let's go with time variance, the third property. Okay, we have seen two properties, the linearity property and the causality property. Fine. Now, third one is time invariance. What is time invariant? You should understand now. A system is said to be time invariant if the time shifts of the input signal leads to the identical time shifts in the output signal. Understand that? Okay, a system is said to be time invariant. That means it will not vary with time. Time invariance means it will not vary with time. So the system which will not vary with time is called as what? Time invariant system. Understand that? Now you should see this. If t of x of n is y of n, then t of x minus n naught should be y of n minus n naught. So that is what it says. So let's see the third property. Third property is time invariance. So when a system is called as time invariance, it is this. If response to x of n is y of n, then response to x of n minus n naught should be what? Y of n minus n naught. Okay, if it is this, then we can call it as time invariance system. Any shift in the input, okay, should be reflected in the output. If there is a shift in the input, the same shift is supposed to be reflected in the output also. If that is happening, then it's a time invariant system. If the input is at x of n, the output is also at y of n, at n only, at n equal to 0, let's say. Or if it is at n equal to n naught, so it is also n equal to n naught. So that means the shift is minus n naught, means here also the shift should be minus n naught. Okay, then we can see if whatever is the input, okay, so the output depends only on that particular input. Understand? So that means if here if response to x of n is equal to y of n and response to x of minus n is also y of n, okay, then what? The system is what? time variant. That means it is changing with time. Time variant. How it is changing with time? See, it is at minus n and it is at n. So time variation is there. So this time variation should not be there. Okay, so that means the output is varying with time. So if the output is varying with time, that means the system also varies with time. But when do we call it as time invariance? When a shift in X will have similar shift in output. A shifting input will have similar shift in output. If that is happening, then it is time invariance. Okay, else it is time variant. It varies with time. Understand that? Now, there is another definition we can give. This is for your, when we solve problems, this will be of help. Alternately, this is something that you're not writing in the exam. This is for you. Okay. Alternately, see here, I'll give you a shortcut to identify the system. Alternately, if y of n depends only on x of n, then it is time invariant. Then the system is time invariant. In other words, the output y of n should not have any function of n, except x of n. If y of n has only x of n, then it is time invariant. In other words, if output y of n, if the output y of n should not have any function of n except x of n, should not have any function of n except x of n. So that means if your y of n is x of n, then what it is? It's time invariant. Okay. If x of n minus 1 is x of n minus 1, then also it is time invariant. Fine. If y of n equal to x of n plus delta of n minus 1, this is time variant. Why? Y of n is not only depending on x of n, but it is also depending on another function of n, which is delta of n minus 1. If it is delta of n also, it is a problem. Let me write that also. See another example. So these are all examples, mind you. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all examples. If it is x of n plus delta of n, then also it is time variant, because it is not only depending on x of n. That means it is not only function of x of n, it is function of another function of n, that is delta of n. So in these two, if y of n minus 1 is there, x of n minus 1, then it's fine. Here you have y of n, x of n, that fine, but you have delta of n, another function of n along with x of n, then it is time variant. Okay, if you shift x of n minus 1, y of n minus 1 may shift, but this may not shift. Understand that? So that is how we can identify whether the system is time variant or invariant. Okay, if the output has similar shift as the shift is there in the input, then it is called time invariance. In other words, if the output has any other, if the output has only x of n as function of n, okay, then it is time
invariant if there is any other function of n except x of n. Here, if there is any other function of n except x of n, then it is time variant. Understand that? So let's see if we have the examples for that. Okay, so we'll solve this with some more. When we solve problems, you will get to know that. Okay, so we will see it then. So now let's go on with the next next property, that is memory. Okay, so we will see the examples for this, the more examples for this when we solve problems. Okay, so in the problems, what they'll do is they'll give us one system, and they want us to identify that system, whether that system is linear or not, whether that system is causal or non-causal, whether that system is time invariant or variant, whether that system has memory or no memory. So all these we need to say by considering one system. Okay, so we'll take more such problems, you'll be understanding. Okay, so before that, let's move on to the next property, that is memory. Okay, so what is memory? It's quite simple. Fine, whatever happens in the past, if we remember that, then it is memory, then it has memory, we say. But there is an exception. If the output depends on future values, then also it has memory. Everybody understand? Everybody understand that? A system is said to have memory if the output depends on past values or future values of the inputs along with x of n, or need not be along with x of n. It could, the present value of input can be there, but if the past value of input is there or the future value of input is there, it means that the the system has memory. Understand that? Now see, for example, if you take this voltage across the capacitor, and we know that capacitor stores voltage, we have seen that in the previous semester itself. So capacitor stores voltage, so voltage across the capacitor is the integral equation, understand, which is given by this. Now see, this voltage across the capacitor is not only depending on present value of time, that is t, but it is also depending on what? Past values, or no, it depends on even the future values. Okay, so that's why if t is something beyond what we have here, okay, so then it is something that will depend on past as well as future. So understand, because this is I've told you, the voltage across the capacitor and current through the inductor does not change instantaneously. If something happens, the response to that will happen after some time. So that means in future we will have the output. Or if the output depends on past value of inputs, then it has memory. So it is remembering what has happened in past and it is depending on that. So it has memory. But yes, it is little difficult to convince ourselves that when it depends on future also, then it has memory, it is saying. Fine, let's accept that. What is it saying? If the output depends on past or future values of input, then we can say the system has memory. So now can I say all causal systems are systems with memory? Say true or false. Answer this question, everybody. Do you think all causal systems are systems with memory? Anybody? What are causal systems?
Yes, sir.
First understand. Okay, then you can answer this. Do you think all causal systems are systems with memory? Okay, let's see that. What is that I'm asking you? All causal systems are systems with
memory. True or false? You have to tell me. True or false? Anybody? Is it true or false? Respond. Somebody should respond to that.
True, sir.
No. Why? Can you just justify your answer? It's false, you say. Can you justify why it is false? Because
Sir, output of the causal system's output does not depend on future values.
Does not depend on future values. Fine. But it depends on past values. If a system output depends on past values, then it has memory. Isn't it? So let me give you examples of causal systems. Okay. Y of n equal to x of n is a causal system. Y of n equal to x of n plus x of n minus 1 is a causal system. Y of n equal to x of n minus 1 is a causal system. Okay. Y of n equal to x of n plus 1 is not a causal system. This is not a causal system. Why this is not a causal system? Because this is depending on future values of inputs, isn't it? So this is causal because the output depending on input value of the present value of input. So this is causal. Here it is depending on present as well as past. So it is causal. It is depending on past. So that is sufficient to say it is causal. Now see this statement now. Do you think all causal systems are systems with memory? No, it is false statement. It is false statement. See, here is an example wherein the output depends only on the present value of input. So if the output is depending on only the present value of input, okay, then the system has no memory. Understand? So this is, if this is the output, then the system with this output has no memory, but it's a causal system. So all causal systems are systems with memory is a false statement. Get that point? Now let's see the examples of systems with memory. You understand this? Systems, or here itself you say, whether this has memory, no memory. Why no memory? Because it depends only on present value of input, no memory. Here has memory because it depends on what? Past value of inputs. Here also it depends on past value of inputs, has memory. Okay, in second example it has what? Present value as well as past value. But if it depends on past value, that is sufficient to say it has memory. Okay, and here it has memory because it is depending on future values. So here also it has memory. So except this, okay, in all other outputs of the system is having the memory, but except here, because here the output neither depends on past nor on future values. It only depends on present. So that's why it has no memory. Understand that? So how can we define memory? A system with memory. A system has memory if its output y of t naught at t naught depends on inputs other than x of t naught. If it depends on inputs other than the present value of inputs is what is the meaning of that. Okay, if a system output depends on the input values other than the present values of input, then it has memory. Understand that? So output, the voltage across the capacitor is an example for that. Fine. It does not only depend on the current value at that particular instant, but it also depends on the past values of inputs or on the future values of inputs. Understand that? So it is this. Fine. But if it depends on future values of inputs, it is non-causal and it is impractical also. So here the capacitor voltage will only depend on the past values of input, not on the future. Sorry. Okay, it's minus infinity to t, we are saying, right? So it depends on past values of input. Otherwise, it becomes what? Non-causal system, and no mechanical system can be electromechanical or microelectronic systems. They cannot be what? Mechatronic systems. Sorry, not micro, mechatronics, mechanical plus electronic. They cannot be what? Non-causal systems. That means they cannot depend on future values of inputs. But yes, if it depends on future values, then it has memory, but such a system does not exist practically. Okay, so let's understand that. So capacitor is a system with memory is understood. Now see the resistor. What is resistor given as? Resistor is a memoryless system. V of t is equal to R of it. That means the output changes instantaneously. Current through the resistor you take, or voltage across the resistor you take, they change instantaneously. Understand that? So they depend only on the present value of inputs. They neither depend on the past values of input or nor on the future values of input. They only depend on present value of input. Okay, the resistor. Understand? So resistor is a memoryless system. V of t is equal to R into I of t. Okay, that's why it is dependent only on present value. That's why it is memoryless system. And one more example I need to give you. This is very important. See here, when I take this as reference, t equal to 0 or n equal to 0. Okay, this could be your present. Okay, and you can say I'll come stand here and I'll consider this as my present, n minus 1. Then also it's fine. For example, y of n minus 1 is equal to x of n minus 1. Now y of n minus 1 means this is the present. This is present. So it depends on if this is present. Okay, x of n minus 1 is also present value of input. Everybody understand that? Where we stand, where we take the reference point is what is going to decide what is your future, what is your present, and what is your past rather. Okay, so where you stand means you should see your output. If you say y of n, okay, you will stand at n equal to 0. If you say y of n minus 1, you will stand at n equal to 1. Okay, so it depends. What is your present depends on the moment when you have your output. Okay, if n minus 1 is an output, okay, then x of n minus 1 is an input. So this output depends only on present value of input. So that means this system is a what? It can be a causal system, but it is a system with no memory because it depending on only the present value of input. Understand that? So where we stand decides your present. If we stand at n equal to 1, so this x of n minus 1 is also there at n equal to 1. Understand? So in that sense, this becomes what? System without memory. So you should understand that. Fine. Now, if there's another terminology which we have to be aware of, because in the exam they may ask the question in multiple ways. Test whether this following system has memory or not, or they can ask the same question in other ways. They can say check whether the system is static or dynamic. Okay, so let's understand this. Fine. These should be good with these terminologies. System with memory, system without memory. There are two such systems, right? So system without memory is called as static system, and system with memory is called as dynamic system. Understand that? So this is another, these two are the new terminologies or alternate terminologies for system with memory and system without memory. System with memory is
dynamic system. System without memory is static system. So in the question they may ask you check whether the system is static or dynamic, means you need to check whether the system has memory or not. Get that point? Fine. So what's happening here? Y of n is equal to x of n plus x of n minus 1. The output is not only depending on present value of input, but it is also depending on what? Past value of inputs. So that's why the system has memory, and so it's a dynamic system. Everybody understand that point? Okay. So resistor is a static system. Capacitor is a dynamic system. And the system with this output is also a dynamic system, because here the output depends on past value of input. So it has memory. In that sense, it is dynamic. Okay with this? So this is regarding memory. Now let's see the next property, that is stability. Fine. So what's happening in stability? Just see here. A system is said to be Bibo stable. Now, which system is stability is what stable system is what we're saying, and we're coming across a new word called as Bibo stable. Bounded input, bounded output. Bounded means what? Bounded means it's finite. Okay, so it is finite. So I cannot write here. So it's finite value of input. Okay, for finite input, if the output is also finite, then the system is called Bibo stable. Okay, in other words, for the bounded input, if the output is bounded, then the system is called as Bibo stable. So that is what it is saying. So a system is said to be Bibo stable if and only if every bounded input results in a bounded output. Every bounded input results in a bounded output means for every finite input, the output would also be finite. If that happens, if for a finite input, if the output is finite, then the system is stable. Otherwise, it is unstable. You would understand that. So that is if the magnitude of x of t is some number which is finite, is what it is being told. Okay. If the input is less than or equal to some number which is finite, which is less than or less than infinite, which is finite means. Okay, so it is the meaning of saying that if x of t is finite, then y of t would also be finite. How they are writing it? See here. So what we are checking is stability, the fifth property. Stability, and the systems are called as Bibo stable. Bibo stable. What is Bibo means? It's bounded input, bounded output systems. Understand? What is bounded means? Bounded means it's finite. For finite input, if the output is also finite, then the system is called as Bibo stable. So in other words, they'll say this, that is, if x or magnitude x, let's say this magnitude x is less than or equal to some number, magnitude of x is less than or equal to some number bx, and if that is less than infinity, then y of n, magnitude of y of n would be by, and that would also be less than infinity. That means the meaning of this is, okay, so this is a finite number. Understand? So if this is a finite number, and if this also is a finite number, okay, then we say the output is Bibo stable. Understand that? The output is Bibo stable. Is that okay with you, everybody? Fine. Now let's see some examples for that. Okay, we shall see the examples while solving the problem. So let's see this invertibility. What is invertibility? If from a system output the input can be recovered, then such a system is called as invertible system. A system is said to be invertible if the input of the system can be recovered from the system output. Input is there, we get the outputs here. System 1 is there, we apply the input, and this is output of system 1. And from output of system 1, everyone understand? From output of system 1, if you can obtain the input back, see the same input has come here. Okay, so if this is happening, then system 1 is called as invertible and system 2 is called as inverse system. Okay, so system 1 is invertible because from its output the input can be obtained, and for that to happen we need to have a inverse system. Understand that? So what is an example of invertible system? Any transforms. See here, 7th one or 6th one is invertible systems. Invertibles. Which are invertible systems? See, if you have any transforms, Z transform or Laplace transform, anything. So if you give x of n, yeah, so it would give you x of z, suppose. This is the output. And if you apply inverse transform, okay, you will get your x of n back. Okay, so this is inverse system. Inverse transform is an inverse system, and this is, and all transforms are called as invertible systems. Understand? So that is what is being told here. Is that okay with you, everybody?